Jagrat swapna sushuptyadi prapancham yat prakashate tad brahmahamiti jnatva sarva bandhai pramuchyate. Jagrat swapna sushuptyadi prapancham yat prakashate tad brahmahamiti jnatva sarva bandhai pramuchyate. Tat Brahma Aham, that Brahman am I, which illumines the world of waking, dream, and deep sleep. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptyadi, Prapancham, the worlds of waking, dream, and deep sleep. Thus, realizing one is liberated from all bonds. Sarva bandhai, sarva bandha, all bonds, pramuchyate, is liberated. Now, this section, mantras 17 to 21, is the beginning of the fourth topic. The fourth topic, which is titled I am Brahman. So the fourth topic from mantra 17 to 21 says, I am Brahman. In fact, if you recall, last week when we covered the 17th mantra, we spoke of the 4 Mahavakyas, and the last Mahavakya is the statement of experience, which is known as Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. So, therefore, the title to these set of verses is the Anubhavam, which the master, the sadhak, has become the Mahatma, the great soul. In the previous mantra, it was the Abhyasa. In this mantra, it's Anubhavam. So what is he saying here? That Brahman am I, which illumines the waking, dream, and deep sleep. So the consciousness, the reality, is that which pervades the causal body, which is the deep sleeper, which is the vasanas. The consciousness is enlivens the subtle body, which is the dreamer. And the consciousness enlivens the gross body, which is the waker. So when the consciousness functions through, operates through the vasanas, you become the deep sleeper. When the consciousness functions through the subtle body, one becomes the dreamer. And when the same consciousness expresses through the gross body, you become the waker. Now, what he is mentioning, all the experiences of the waking, dream, and deep sleep, the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are respectively caught up in the activities. They're all confined to the realms of that experience, and they're all caught up in that. So it is right to say that as a waker, I am bound by the waking world, I am bound by the experiences of the waker. Now, when I leave this realm and go into the swapna, I am the dreamer and I'm bound by all the activities of the dreamer. Everything that I do in the dream, I'm bound, just like a waker is bound by everything in the dream. And the deep sleeper, when he enters the deep sleep, he is bound by the experience of the ignorance, because deep sleep, there's nothing happening there. So he is bound by the experience of the ignorance. Now, when you do abhyasa, the abhyasa process is you keep negating the lower, you keep negating the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper personalities, and you keep asserting the consciousness. This is the spirit of the sadhana, is the negation of the bondage you have developed to these personalities and the assertion of that pure consciousness. So when you are going through the experiences, he is saying, I am bound, you are bound by the experiences. Which illumines the waking dream, deep sleep, the consciousness illumines it. So to negate the bondages, now what is a bondage? There are two things that we have to recognize in this verse. There is the pure consciousness on one side, and then there is the conditioned consciousness on the other. You can write in short form PC and CC, the pure consciousness and the conditioned consciousness. The pure consciousness is, he says, is the Atman or Brahman, whatever you call it, is that which illumines the waking dream and deep sleep. It illumines everything. In the next mantra, he also further qualifies it. That doesn't matter. But here we say it's the pure consciousness and livens. Now, what is this conditioned consciousness? When the pure consciousness is qualified with a conditioning element, it becomes the conditioned consciousness. When the pure consciousness is conditioned with a conditioning element, it becomes the conditioned consciousness. Now, that pure consciousness is nothing but, as the great, throughout the Shastras, but the great Ramana kept on saying, I. It's just that I am. It's just that pure consciousness is I. You get to that I, you have reached, you're liberated from all the bonds. Now, if the pure consciousness is I, the conditioned consciousness would be consciousness plus the conditioning element. So what is the conditioning element? When you, Shantima, when somebody asks you, who are you? What would you say?
I'm Shanti. I will answer.
You will answer, I am Shanti. So, what are you doing to the I there?
Sorry,
You're following.
You're
following. No, I know, but you're following what we have been saying, isn't it? So far?
Yes.
The pure consciousness is the I. Then there is the conditioned consciousness, is when the pure consciousness is conditioned by a conditioning element, it becomes the conditioned consciousness.
Yes.
right?
Mm.
Now, if the pure consciousness is I, now when I ask you who you are, you said, I am Shanti. Oh, where are you from, Shanti?
I'm from Malaysia.
Okay, you say, I am from Malaysia. Where are you working, Shanti? You would say, I am working at certain place,
Yes.
XYZ. Are you following what I'm saying? Yes, sir, I am following. Now, any description, any experience of yours, I am Shanti, I am a Malaysian, I am working at X. What are you doing in all these three experiences? In fact, every experience. Are you not conditioning the pure consciousness by Shanti, Malaysia, and X? Are you or are you not?
Yes.
You take it further, you say, when you are in the waking state, you say, I am the waker. When you go into the dream state, you say, I am the dreamer. And then you say, I am the deep sleeper. So every experience, every transaction, what we are successfully doing is we are conditioning the pure consciousness into a state of conditioned consciousness. But one who is able to identify with the which illumines all the three states, which is the waking, dream, and deep sleep. Such a person, he says, is liberated from all bonds. What is the bond? What is the bonding? What is the binding factor? The binding factor is Shanti, Malaysia, your job, your portfolio, your family, your friends, your knowledge, your ignorance. Everything is binding you to the experiences, to the state. Now, if you want to be liberated from this, you must be able to identify with the Brahman, which is in the state, which is beyond the state. Recognize with the Atman, which is not confined, which confined to your experience of the state. The Brahman is not confined to your experience of the state. Even you say, I am Shanti, is Brahman any less? Not at all. All your conditioning doesn't make Brahman any less. But the whole exercise they are saying, you negate the conditioning, which is conditioning you, negate the conditioning element. How do you negate? Are you following this?
Yes. Yes, Guruji.
Right. The next logical thought process would be, how would you negate the conditioning element? If the conditioning is that which is creating the binding, how do you negate the conditioning element? The whole process is negation and assertion. Now, how do you negate the conditioning element? US.
By saying maybe I am not that. I am not that, niti.
By saying neti, by saying I am not that. So how do you get rid of the conditioning element? Is by negating it, by not identifying with the vasana, by not identifying with the desire, by remaining as objective as you can possible and say, I am not that, I am not this, I am not this. So if a thought comes into your mind, if a desire comes into your mind, if a vasana manifests, if you are able to not identify with that and say, I am not that. An emotion may come and overwhelm your mind. You say, I am not this emotion. A positive or negative thought may come into your mind. Don't get carried away with that. I am not this thought. By doing that, what we are doing? We are changing the characteristics of the conditioning element. It starts by changing the characteristics. It ends by nullifying the conditioning element. Some stage will come where that particular conditioning isn't there. And imagine you have successfully removed all the conditioning elements. Where would you reach? US?
You will be self-realized, isn't it?
If you have successfully removed all the conditioning elements, you will reach the state of unconditioned consciousness. That pure consciousness is a state of unconditioned consciousness where you have clinched that I as I am that I am. The famous words of Moses. The famous words of Moses, the voice which spoke to Moses when Moses asked, that voice which came from the mountains, he asked, who are you? The voice said, I am that I am. But we can't contain that I am as I am. We always have to say, I am this, I am that. We condition it. We are not able to hold on to that I am, that pure consciousness, and negate everything else. So once you reach that state of the pure unconditioned state, and that's the goal, but the process is keep negating. I am not this, I'm not that. But unnecessarily I'm binding myself. So he uses the word sarva bandhai. So everything, if I start understanding that everything I'm doing is a bondage, is a binding to me, to that, I tell you that itself is a very profound thought. Why am I getting bound to everything? I have a student, I have a bondage to the student. I start a work, I'm bound to the work. I'm doing some service, I'm bound to the fruits of that action. Why should I be bound? So to be liberated, and the only way you can get liberated is by negating and asserting. The very, very powerful invocatory prayer you and I chant first thing in the morning. You should chant. And the concluding line of the invocation of Atma Bodha, he says, Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangha. Tad Brahma, I am that Brahman. Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham, I am that pure Nishkalam, it's pure Brahman. Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangha. I am not this assemblage of elements. I'm not this conditioned being. I am that self. So it's a very powerful, assertive thought you plant first thing in the day before you even plunge and imbibe this wisdom. Raghugaru, you are very right. Your observation is right that the conditioning elements are more prevalent in the waking and dream. But can you technically answer why is it that it is so in the waking and dream?
Yeah, Ariom Guruji. I think waking and dream state are easy to get. The conditioning elements play their own ways. One thing or because when I sleep tonight, honestly, I don't think all these conditioning elements are very much in play in a deep sleep, like kind of. I'm not here and somewhere or wherever the eye is. The eye is not the conditioned in a deep sleep. That's what my observation. When morning 6 o'clock or 6:30 when we wake up, slowly it gets into some kind of you know the routine stuff which I have to do and
No,
everybody
whether
has to do.
it's routine or non-routine.
Yeah.
The moment the question is why is it that the conditioning elements are prevalent? See, it's not that it's prevalent in the waking and dream. What is the right word perhaps would be the vasanas are manifest in the waking and dream. That's the reason it binds. And in deep sleep, it is not manifest. But still you are bound because vasanas are very much there. And what is vasanas is ignorance. So a person who exhibits his ignorance and another person doesn't exhibit, he's quiet about his ignorance. What is common?
Ignorance is common
In both of them. So waking and dream is manifestation of ignorance. Deep sleep is unmanifestation of ignorance. So waking,
Okay.
dream, and deep sleep, all three are still binding. That's why I said in the opening statement of the verse that in deep sleep, a deep sleeper is bound to ignorance, I said. To avidya.
Yeah.
So how do you remove the ignorance in the deep sleep? See, if the ignorance is there even in deep sleep, how do you remove the ignorance in deep sleep? Considering, if you remember, we said deep sleep is the seed, right?
Yeah.
The vasana is the seed. Now, if you want to remove the ignorance in deep sleep, how do you remove it?
If I have to remove in deep sleep, I think probably it's the same way even if waking or if you have to remove the vasanas, then I think it would be the same for all the three states. Once you remove it, it's gone in all the three states.
That's the question. How do you remove the
Yeah.
vasanas or ignorance in deep sleep?
If I'm not sure on theoretical how.
I think we lost you or we're losing you.
Noted that these vasanas can be removed.
We just lost you briefly, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying, Agagaru. We
Yeah.
got the gist. So the vasanas, thank you. So the vasanas, which are the seed, the question is, how do you remove the vasanas? Because vasanas is the conditioning element which are manifesting in the waking and dream. So how do you remove it? Harish, any idea? If you want to remove the conditioning element, how do you remove it? We are very clear also by saying the conditioning element is the vasana, and vasana is in deep sleep. That's the seed.
I'm not sure, Guruji.
Not sure. Okay. Gayatrima, how do you remember it?
By karma yoga, bhakti yoga, we can exhaust the vasanas.
So what you are suggesting is by putting in effort in the waking state, I can remove the vasanas in the deep sleep.
Deep sleep. Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
So by putting in effort, I can uproot the
Vasana, seed.
uproot the seed, uproot it from the very root and remove it and chuck it out of the system. Now, why are we saying in the waking state? You said karma, bhakti, jnanam. In the waking state, we are saying, why is it in the waking state?
Because vasanas are manifested only in the waking state, or whether we have the opportunity to do it in the waking state.
What do you mean opportunity?
Means we are aware of it, we are conscious of it.
You can put in conscious effort only in the waking state.
Waking state.
Evolution or devolution can only happen in the waking state, not in the dream and deep sleep. Even though all three are conditioning states, but the actual growth or devolution can happen in the waking state. It reflects in the dream and deep sleep. It's like how healthy is your mind depends on how sound or how disturbed sleep you have. If you have a healthy mind, you will have a sound sleep. If you have an unhealthy mind, you have a disturbed sleep. In a relative sense, if you were to understand it, how this reflects there. Similarly, if I have put in effort in the waking state, it will reflect in the characteristics of the vasanas in the deep sleep. So vasanas is the conditioning element, which expresses as I am something, I am this, I am that. It's qualifying and distorting the pure I. So to get to Brahman, it's not easy. You got to get rid of all the conditioning elements, whether be it pure or impure. Ram Garu, the question I want to ask you is, what is the difference when you say, I am Ram, I am an Indian, I am an, if I were to describe your profession, how would you say in one word?
I'm an agriculture professional.
An agricultural professional. So what is the difference between I am Ram, I am an Indian, I am an agricultural professional, and I am Brahman? What is the difference between all the three? All four, rather. To make it easy, complicating it. So when you say I am Ram and I am Brahman, what is the difference between the two?
I'm Ram is a physical form.
It's a name.
It is
You're
a
describing
name.
yourself.
Yeah, it
You're
is a
describing yourself.
name. Yeah,
I am Brahman also is describing yourself.
yeah.
What's the difference?
The difference is the body, or all the attachments that come with the body. When I say Ram, it has all those Not only name, but all the attachments along with that name. Even the profession, even the family, everything is attached to the name. When I say I am Brahman, nothing is attached to that.
So when we use the word I am Brahman, you can't use it in the same breath as every other I am dash. It's not the same. So when I say I am Brahman is an unconditioning factor.
Yeah.
Everything else conditions I am.
Yeah.
Isn't it, sir?
Correct.
We need to understand that technically how it is. When I say I am, it is not conditioning, it's not limiting I am. But when I say Ram, it is called describing something which is limiting that pure consciousness.
Correct.
So
So it is in a way more physical when I say I am Ram. Whereas when I say I am Brahman, it is non-physical. I mean, that's the way I feel about it.
But when you say you are an agricultural profession, agriculture is solid law, okay? Are you describing a physical form there? No.
It is not, but it is attached to my physical form.
It is attached to your individuality. You're describing a physical aspect of your personality, but you're describing the individuality.
Right.
So it is still confined. It's a confining factor, limiting factor, binding factor.
Right.
So
when I say I am Ram, I am also saying I am not the others. When I say I am an agricultural professional, I am also saying I am not a doctor, I am not an engineer, I am not that, I am not this, but I am this. So in that sense, it is all limiting only. When I say my wife and son are my family, then I am saying others are not my family.
So what we got to do, sir, the advice we have got from the Shastras is divorce yourself from all the marriages of I.
Yeah. Okay.
Just apply for a divorce for everything that the I is married to. I admire. Just dissect it. Just get rid of it. It is not physical, it is mental. It is not to physically separate yourself from family. It's not physically separate from your business. It's not physically separating from your transactions with the world. It is to mentally separate yourself and say, I am not this. I'm not this. Thereafter, you will only operate. It is obligated. No unnecessary tamasha. Why should you get into an unnecessary drama? Everything is a drama.
So what you are saying, Guruji, is that you experience all the conditioning, but always be aware that this conditioning is not I. This conditioning is separate from I.
Sir, I will qualify that. I didn't say experience all the conditioning. I didn't say that. I am only saying you experience only which is necessary and obligated.
I know.
Unnecessary frills, get rid of. Sometimes, in a dress, in a garment, you find so many frills. Why you need so many frills, man? I always don't understand it. Maybe it's royalty, especially when you get this royalty getting, when they marriage or when it's a royalty, it's a queen. You find, what do you call that long robe, which may be 10, 20 feet behind her, and there'll be 7, 8 fellows lifting it. And they carry it. Unnecessary frill, Adalna. What do you call that?
Marriage itself is unnecessary frill, sir. So all other things are unnecessary frills to an unnecessary thing, actually.
Sir, I know you're saying a lighter note, but we shouldn't be misunderstood.
I know. I'm saying attachments. Any attachment is an unnecessary frill.
Any attachment unnecessary.
Yeah.
But if somebody is designed for marriage, why is he designed for marriage? It is Purva Karma. Somebody says, recently I had a conversation with somebody. I asked that person this question: are you designed for marriage? The person said, no, sir, I'm not designed for marriage. That's our personality. That's his personality. So if one is designed for marriage, it's your Purva Karma. Does that define you? Not so.
No.
What defines is my present effort. So I have no choice but to use marriage as a means to get evolution, which is I am plowing through my vasana and getting rid of my vasana to get to the state of vasana-lessness. I can't but avoid this vasana because it is a predominant, it's not predominant, it's a vasana, it's there. What do I do? Am I to blame myself for the vasana I'm born with? No, you deal with it. How do you deal with it? Don't get into it, but don't get bound by it. Don't limit your life only to serve my wife, my children, my family. Finished. That is a bondage. Don't have to say, oh, sir, therefore I should not use the word I and my. Therefore, I can't say my wife. I have to say our wife. No, it's not a change of terms then. Not my children, our children. It's not, don't have to get into trouble by changing it from singular to plural. No, it is not that usage. It is the question of, when I say my home, doesn't mean I'm attached to it. Who are you? I am so and so. That doesn't mean you're being arrogant or attached. There's a difference between being factual vis-a-vis being defined by, being bound by. But sadly, today, all of us are ignorantly bound by the transactions and limited by the transactions. Therefore, he says, I am that Brahman. And it's the profundity of the thought you and I should remind ourselves the first thing in the morning before you assert the truth, before you experience before you start doing sadhana. Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. Where you do that? Pratasmarami Hridi Samsfuradatma Tattvam Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptamaveti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangha. Not this, not this, not this. And thereafter, it's like I want to go and, so I know I have not done it. I know you have not done it, but just question I'm asking you, I have to answer it through knowledge, sir. Now, if you have to go and rob some home, you have seen it in movies and places we heard here and there. What is it they do, sir? You might know, Ramji. I'll want to ask you. I'll ask Harish. Oh, no, I'll not even ask Harish. I'll ask Kashish. In India, I don't know, India is a universal rule, but if I have to go and rob a home, what is the first thing people do? What do these robbers do? Huh?
Make sure no one's home, Guruji.
Oh, you're there at home or not. Oh, you have to make sure that as well. But in the context, the question is always in the context of what we're discussing, which is we spoke, you get into marriage, but you're not bound by the marriage. You're free, you're liberated. So what do these robbers do?
Always make sure they have an escape route. And they go into the house, but they're not bound by getting stuck in the house.
Okay. I give you all the marks because it's difficult to read my mind, difficult to read anybody's mind. but I'm just trying to, it's very tricky what they do. I'll ask Reddy Garu and then I'll answer the question. Reddy Garu.
It would be Guruji, make a practice, make a trial before they make an attempt. A rookie.
How is that connected to the question, sir? Oh, if I have not get bound to the marriage, I mean, get married a few times, then you learn experience, and then you. That's what you're suggesting then.
No, Guruji. This platform is too dangerous for me to make a statement.
You get in trouble.
Yes.
So, what these dacoits or robbers do is they apply their body with oil. They just apply liberally their body with oil. So even when they are to be caught, it slips away. They can't be bound. They can't be caught. And I've seen it in how these people do in some movie scene somewhere. It got into my head. I can't remember when last I saw it. So you are in it, so you will not get trapped. It's something what, like Kashi said, you find an escape route. Their escape route is apply oil. Correct, Ramji? It connects to the context what we are saying. So you are not bound. You are free and liberated. Like we use, you must be like a butter paper. Ama. Shivaji, olden days, nowadays they're not doing. He's the king of robber. Are you running a business or what? To say nowadays they don't do this, the old days they used to do. That's what I'm saying. I've seen somewhere in the old movies, but that's a very smart way of doing it. Maybe the oil has become very expensive. I don't know why they don't do it now. Maybe it's all digital stealing nowadays. Huh? Right. Okay. So the objective of the message in this verse mantra is that you have to divorce yourself from all the conditioning elements, and the moment you do that, and the conditioning elements are in the waking, dream, and deep sleep, and all your experiences, the moment you do that, you will understand that Brahman am I, and instantly you will be liberated from all the bonds. You're liberated. The moment you get to that, you're liberated. If you have not realized, you're still bound. Okay.